Of course, we're coming up with an auto strategy. It's important because we know our auto workers are right now feeling the brunt of the U.S. unjustified and unjustifiable tariffs. When it will be ready, and you'll be the first one to know.
Okay, so that was Industry Minister Mélanie Joly this morning. Not quite ready to put a timeline on our government's plan for the auto sector, but, you know, a source tells CBC News they expect that strategy is coming tomorrow. Ashley Burke and David Thurton may have been the first to know because their source says the plan includes scrapping the federal electric vehicle mandate in favor of a new fuel efficiency system and that it will bring back incentives to buy electric vehicles, plus announce money for charging stations. So does ditching the electric vehicle mandate satisfy automakers dealing with those U.S. tariffs? Well, Brian Kingston is the president of the Canadian Vehicle Manufacturers Association, and he joins us now. So Brian Kingston, we've talked quite a few times about the EV mandate and your call for it to be scrapped. For the automakers you represent, which is Stellantis, Ford, and GM, I mean, what kind of a difference does this make for them?
This makes a huge difference. The industry is under enormous pressure now due to tariffs, and this mandate was putting unnecessary and redundant costs on manufacturers. I mean, we were estimating that the cost of complying with this mandate between now and 2030, where the government had set a 60% sales target, was in the range of about $3 billion for no good outcome. The government already has existing emission standards. They're extremely stringent, and they could be made more stringent, which is what the government is signaling they want to do. That has always been the better approach. It's technology agnostic, it gives consumers choice, and it reduces the costs on manufacturers. So
how do we see this going then? Because, you know, assuming Ashley and David are right in their reporting, and they are, it seems, the incentives are coming back to create the market demand, so that could juice some of the sales rather than a mandate forcing it. But then you just meet the emissions reductions by forcing automakers to make more efficient gas-burning engines. Am I understanding that correctly? Is that how you see it interacting?
Yeah, the way it works is with the emission standards, companies have to reduce the emissions from their whole vehicle fleet. And the only way to do it as these targets become more and more stringent is through a mix of vehicles. So you've definitely got EVs, you're going to have plug-in hybrids, you'll have hybrids, and then efficient gas-powered vehicles. What is good about this is it creates some flexibility. So a manufacturer can figure out how do they get to that target using the range of those technologies, and that's better for consumers. Now, to be clear, there is no way to hit these more efficient targets without significant EV adoption. I mean, Ford, General Motors, and Stellantis last year were responsible for just shy of 40% of all EV sales in this country. So they're selling a lot of EVs.
Right.
And they need to sell more. But this is why I like this strategy, because they're also going to be introducing incentives, and it sounds like some more investment on charging infrastructure. Supply has been handled. We've got 115 models in the market. What we're missing is the demand, and I hope this strategy is going to address that.
Yeah, well, consumers worry about cost, the maintenance, and ability to updo the maintenance, and of course the range anxiety that comes from the lack of charging infrastructure. So it seems designed to target that, but you know, the goal here is to keep auto manufacturing in Canada. I mean, what does this do to achieve that larger goal? Because these are still American companies, and we've all heard what the American president has to say about this.
And there's no doubt that we still have this major trade challenge hanging over us. We've got Section 232 tariffs. We have the uncertainty of the renewal of the CUSMA agreement. But this helps because at the end of the day, you're trying to attract manufacturing into this country based on the competitive package you're putting in front of companies. Is this a good place to build vehicles? Is it a good place to sell vehicles? And the way the mandate worked, 95% of existing production here in Canada today was going to be made illegal for sale in 9 years. That's not a good message to send to auto companies that are thinking about how do they keep their footprint in this country. So getting rid of that mandate, you protect their current production, you take that huge regulatory burden off them. I mean, we had effectively 2 regulations on companies all trying to achieve the same thing, which is emissions reduction, and we share that goal. So this is a good step. It makes a huge difference at a very difficult time.
Look, I get the EV mandate challenge, especially with the economic uncertainty, the loss of the incentives, though they are coming back, that it was hard to guarantee the sales. But on the emissions standards, the higher efficiency standards that are apparently coming in this tomorrow, on the gas engines that are made, I mean, what that is required to sell in this country, I presume? What is it? What if the big three balk at what the federal government is demanding on that front? Are we back in another fight with the federal government?
Well, look, we obviously need to see the details in terms of what they announce, but I just look at the sales trend of the Detroit 3 over the past few years. They've introduced more and more electric vehicles. They're market leaders last year in EV sales. And if you look at a vehicle on the road today, look at a pickup truck that's built today in Canada, the efficiency of that gas engine is significantly more than what you had 10 years ago. And in fact, these GHG regulations that the government has, since 2011, we have seen vehicle efficiency increase by 50% for cars and 30% for trucks. Every year they're innovating more and more. So there is a pathway to reduce emissions, but it's far better to do it this way than to say you must sell X number of EVs.
There is still a limit, though, to how far you can go with a gas engine, because it's still a gas engine, right, in terms of achieving these things. And the Climate Institute has talked about the importance of the EV mandate to getting towards the targets. So this disruption seems to have disrupted a lot of plans. I mean, how much can you actually get from a gas engine efficiency standard when you're still burning gas at the end of the day?
Look, there's always going to be a limit. I mean, a gas engine is going to use gas, of course, but this is where the announcement tomorrow with respect to supporting EV adoption is going to be really important. If you want more Canadians to switch, and we've gone through the early adopters, this has been the challenge. Your high-income household that's buying a third or fourth car, they've got their EV. Now you're trying to sell to a middle-income household, one car does it all. That has been the issue that we've been facing in increasing sales. So if this announcement tomorrow includes funding for charging infrastructure, we've got about a 60,000 public charger deficit right now. We got to close that gap. Plus something on the incentive side, you will definitely see more uptake, and that will help us meet those emissions targets.
When we last spoke, it was when the deal was reached to allow Chinese electric vehicles, Chinese-made electric vehicles to come into the market. Now the government is working on a deal to have Korean car makers maybe set up manufacturing here. What's your reaction to the fact that there's polling out that shows that 60% of Canadians kind of like having Chinese electric vehicles available, and that they're moving to maybe do deals with Hyundai and other makers?
Well, when it comes to Korea, look, the more manufacturers that you have in Canada, the better, because you're going to have a more thriving ecosystem. When you have one manufacturer building cars in a community, it creates this whole series of other suppliers. That's good for everybody in the sector. Where the challenge is with China. And it's not just about having a Chinese manufacturer in Canada, it's the trade perspective. I mean, we are entering this highly sensitive discussion with the Americans. Every conversation in Washington starts and ends with the word China, and we have just put this huge irritant into those discussions. That's my biggest fear, not just for auto, but for the broader Canadian economy that depends on our access to the US market.
Brian Kingston, president of the Canadian Vehicle Manufacturers Association. I suspect we'll want reaction once we get the formal details. Thanks for being here, sir.
Thank you.